The Verdani High Command had expected many things when they obliterated the human colony on Kepler 442b. They had expected fear. They had expected surrender. They had expected the typical groveling that lesser species exhibited when faced with the might of the Verdani Empire. What they had not expected was silence. For 3 standard cycles, no word came from the Sol system. No desperate pleas for mercy, no attempts at negotiation, no frantic diplomatic overtures. The humans had simply vanished from galactic communications entirely. Admiral Zektar adjusted his ceremonial plumes as he stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominion's edge, reviewing the tactical display of the Kepler system. The planet below still glowed with residual radiation from their plasma bombardment. Where once a thriving human settlement of 50,000 had existed, now only glass and ash remained. Perhaps they finally understand their place, his tactical officer, Commander Velith, suggested with smug satisfaction. One demonstration was sufficient to break their spirit. Zektar clicked his mandibles in agreement. The humans had been an annoyance for decades, expanding aggressively into systems the Verdani had marked for future conquest. Their destruction of the Kepler outpost would serve as a clear message to any other upstart species. The galaxy belonged to the Verdani. The first indication that something was wrong came from their long-range sensors. Admiral, the sensor operator's voice carried a note of confusion. I'm detecting spatial distortions at the edge of the system, multiple signatures. Zektar's attention snapped to the displays. Verdani reinforcements? Negative, sir. The energy signatures are unknown. Within moments, the distortions resolved into something that made Zektar's circulatory fluid run cold. Ships, hundreds of them, then thousands. The sleek, angular vessels of human design emerged from what appeared to be some form of faster-than-light transit system the Verdani had never encountered. Impossible, Velith whispered. Our intelligence reports indicated they possessed maybe 24 capital ships total. The human fleet continued to arrive. 10,000 ships. 20,000. 50,000. The tactical display struggled to render the sheer magnitude of vessels pouring into the system. Battleships the size of small moons, carriers that dwarfed, entire Verdani fleets and countless smaller craft that moved with predatory precision. Sir, the communications officer stammered, we're receiving a transmission. On the main screen appeared a human female, her dark hair pulled back severely, her eyes holding the cold promise of extinction. Behind her, Zektar could see what appeared to be a massive command center bustling with activity. I am Admiral Chen Wei of the United Earth Defense Force, she said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. You attacked our people. You murdered 50,000 civilians. You glassed their world. Her expression didn't change, but somehow became more terrifying. We've come to return the favor. Zektar found his voice. Human, you are outnumbered. This fleet comprises only 12 vessels of the Verdani 3rd Battle Group. Surely you don't believe... Let me stop you there. Admiral Chen interrupted. You're not outnumbered. You're surrounded. What you see here isn't our military, this is our reply. The tactical display updated as the human fleet completed its deployment. They had arranged themselves in a perfect sphere around the Verdani. Position, weapons trained inward. The formation was so massive it defied comprehension, a hollow shell of death that encompassed an area of space larger than most star systems. You want to know something about humans? Chen continued conversationally. We're pack hunters, always have been. When you hurt one of us, you hurt all of us. And when you kill our children, her smile was sharp enough to cut steel. Well, that's when you discover that overkill isn't in our vocabulary. Zektar's tactical officer was frantically running calculations. Admiral, they have us outgunned approximately 8,000 to 1. Our shields won't last minutes under this kind of concentrated fire. How? Zektar demanded of the screen. Your species barely achieved faster-than-light travel a century ago. Oh, that's the beautiful thing about humans, Chen replied. We don't just innovate when we need to. We innovate because we can. While you were congratulating yourselves on your technological superiority, We were building. While you were assuming, we were weak. We were preparing. Every human world, every orbital shipyard, every industrial complex has been working for 80 years on a single project, making sure that if anyone was stupid enough to attack our civilians, we could respond appropriately. The space around the Verdani ships began to shimmer as thousands of human vessels charged their weapons simultaneously. You wanted to send a message, Admiral Chen said. Message received. Here's ours. Touch our people again, and we'll reduce your homeworld to its component atoms. Cross us again, and we'll hunt down every ship, every colony, every trace of your species until you're nothing but a cautionary tale told to frighten children. Zektar's voice cracked. You're talking about genocide. No, Chen corrected, her voice carrying the finality of a judge's gavel. We're talking about consequences. You had a choice. You could have traded with us, negotiated with us, even ignored us. Instead, you chose to murder our families. Now you get to live with what that choice has unleashed. The Admiral's finger hovered over the firing control. Any last words? Zektar looked at his crew, saw the terror in their eyes, and understood, with perfect clarity, that they had awakened something that should have remained sleeping. The humans hadn't just built a fleet. They had built a promise of annihilation so absolute that it blotted out the stars themselves. We surrender, he whispered. Too late for that, Admiral Chen replied. But don't worry. We'll make sure the galaxy remembers what happened here. They'll remember that humanity protects its own, and they'll remember what happens to those who think otherwise. The last thing Admiral Zektar saw was the synchronized firing of 50,000 human weapons, turning the Verdani Third Battle Group into constituent particles, and a lesson that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. In the aftermath, as the human fleet began its methodical journey toward Verdani space, Admiral Chen's final transmission went out on all frequencies. To any species listening, humanity is no longer asking for your respect. We're demanding it. Cross that line again and discover why we don't believe in proportional responses.